Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Ooh, she's official.
She's been dreaming to do this.
I love it. Did you get that?
There we go.
All right, Kurt, Graser, and Sarah Wieluns. Welcome to Footwork.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is great.
My pleasure. This is going to be a unique one because you guys are not footballers, but you capture it from another side of the lens. So before we start, I want to ask both of you, as we always do. First off, we'll start with Sarah. Ladies first. What does make your own path mean to you?
Make your own path, man. I'd like to think that's somewhat my life motto. I've definitely had different chapters of my life, and I would say make your own path whittles down to following your heart. Ironically, what we're making the show about is doing just that, but I've done that in my own life. Like, if something doesn't feel right, you have to reprioritize and realize what's important for you. And I would say making your own path is following whatever those priorities are for you. And whether that's fame and fortune or family and friends or a mix of both, that path will be very narrowly defined by what your priorities are, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. Following your heart for sure, but also following your gut, especially in like kind of business and kind of the space right here. Sometimes you just, something feels right and something feels wrong. And you just have to kind of go with your gut. And that's kind of been leading me for the last 20 plus years. So I'm going to keep probably doing that.
Give me an example of when your priorities changed, where you felt something was important and you realized, okay, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do.
In my career, I can jump right in there.
Yeah.
I was working in network television on a still successful show out in Hollywood. And it was, in my 20s, what I wanted to do, go to Hollywood, find my place in the industry, which is what I had studied to do. Meanwhile, my parents, long story short, were serving in the Peace Corps overseas. And I was in production accounting out in Hollywood. And it started to fight with my morals and principles that I was supporting this billion-dollar industry, literally the one signing million-dollar checks for the talent. And my parents were off in a third world country, like teaching little children how to use a toothbrush for their health and in basic terms. And long story short, I decided to leave the show, even being offered a step up in that industry, to move back east. And my heart was leading me back to my family. They were leaving the Peace Corps and going to be moving back to Maine. And that's where it was important for me to be at that time. And I had no regrets. I drove cross country, not looking back, and LA will always be there. But I certainly made that decision because my priorities had changed. And it landed me back on the East Coast. And I'm so glad I'm here. And it's been a new chapter of life, but also a great new chapter in my career, kind of being a bigger fish in a smaller pond, having done Hollywood first and now back here. And it's only led to more and more really heartfelt work on top of being near my family.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of similar. Like coming to Maine is, I think, the big change for myself and my family's life. I grew up in Connecticut. I worked for ESPN down there in Bristol, Connecticut. I worked for NBC Sports, and my wife's from Vermont, and we're like, are we going to live here the rest of our lives? And we're like, no. And I had an opportunity up here in Portland, Maine, and it was just like at that moment, I was like, let's make that kind of change. That's the priority. Let's start our life up there. And not only did we do that, we have 2 children now, but I got a job, which was great. I started a business, so that was kind of my that was my moment. That was like, priorities kind of changed but in a positive way too. That really affected everything that I've done ever since.
Yeah. Now let's get a little bit of background on both of you. So, who are you? Where were you? And where are you going?
Who am I? I am.
Sorry, you get to think about that.
That's all right. I'll think this time.
I'm Kurt Graser. I own a company called Knack Factory. We're a video production company in Portland, Maine. We've been around for over 13 years. I've been in the video television space for over 2 decades. Again, worked for ESPN, NBC. Also working for a company called Octagon, which was a sports marketing and branding company. Working with athletes and kind of that kind of space as well. So that's who I am, and that's what I've done. And where am I going? Continuing to grow my business, to be honest. Like I said, we've been around 13 years, but I really want to continue for another 13 years, to be honest, and kind of grow this business in a positive way, not only with people that I want to work with. I have a great team, but also kind of working with like community-based folks as well, different organizations. I coach, coach soccer. I work with like students on that kind of level. So, and then I also have my company kind of working with nonprofits when necessary. So that's kind of the direction I want to go in. Just like, doing good stuff for good people, and, hopefully that karma always comes back in a positive way.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I had a chance to think. No, I've always, I guess, been self-described and described by others as young at heart with an old soul. Born and raised on the coast of Maine in a little lobstering village, so like quintessential Maine wilderness, outdoorsy childhood. But then, like I mentioned, I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry somehow, and so I've got that whole Hollywood side of my life and that big city world. But it's funny, you realize as the decades pass, like who you truly are by where you want to be. Like the last answer, Maine is a common denominator here, really draws you in, and I think says something about even like who you are and the culture you're drawn to. Really close to my family and friends. That's always just something that's led my heart to where I want to be and what I want to do. And building up the resume and my career side was just something that had to align with my core values. And like I said, I knew, yay, working for Criminal Minds on this big fancy Hollywood show was great to say for a few years, but it wasn't what was most important to me. So I'm this city mouse country girl kind of mix. I ride horses whenever I can, kayaking, hiking, wilderness, I love to be outdoors. But this side of my life is that balance I just love, and the creative side of it. Kurt also knows, I also have to keep my foot in the door with using the right side of my brain. So I still do some production accounting in the entertainment, actually the sports world. So doing that on top of the creative things I get to do here at Knack Factory. So I am Kurt's producer and project manager here, but I've been executive producer of another studio in town. Before that, worked with a production company in Boston, which is really where I built up my producer skills. And again, it was a decade in Los Angeles on the production accounting side. Before that, that really built up my knowledge of the industry itself. And I think the budgeting and accounting side as the base of my career has really helped and supported being a producer, knowing how money is spent and managing budgets and costs and line items like that. So in career-wise, again, I've kept my foot in the door using the right side and the left side because I like to be, my spreadsheets and my numbers and my black and white stuff, but I also have that creative side. And one message I like to pass on to my nieces and anyone who asks is it's okay to not pigeonhole yourself into one of those things. Like you can carve out a life where you get to do a little bit of everything, and happiness at the end of the day is what's most important to me, and making sure that every day I'm not heading towards more miserable, I'm heading towards a more happy life. And so as far as the future goes, it's keeping that in check year to year, that the balance I have between work and within work, but also the balance between my professional life and my personal life stays balanced. So I have the time with my mom. Well, my mom is still here. So I'm in my niece's life as a fun auntie. So I have time to travel. I'm getting married this year. So making sure I carve out time for that, along with remaining successful and helping this guy and his company remain successful. Because I believe in Knack Factory and kind of the principles that he has and what we aim to produce and put out and the quality and value of that work. And I wouldn't just be at any production company. There's a reason I'm here, because I'm proud to be a part of the team.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Aw, see, it's good we have these times we can actually reflect.
No, I want to, because it seems like both of you have figured out balance. It's obviously, I think it's very common where you're young, you're kind of going after it and trying to chasing the success and money, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm burning out, I don't really like doing this anymore, and then you come back a few steps, and then you realize, okay, if I do it the right way and how I want to do it, I would imagine that in the end, the production of what you're actually doing winds up being better quality because you actually care about what you're doing, versus I'm doing this because I'm working for ESPN or I'm working for Criminal Minds, but I actually don't really love this.
Yeah. yeah, your 20s, you burn yourself out in this industry. Like you feel it. And a lot of people leave and do something else, which is totally fine. The folks that continue do get that balance after, I'd say, at least for me personally, after about like 10 years of like in this business, maybe sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. But yeah, you do burn yourself out, and you do need to figure out how to then have that balance with your work and your family and whatever you do in life, right? Because if you don't, you're gonna hate everything you do. And this specific industry, and I'm assuming similar like yours, it takes a lot out of you. It's like long days or weekends, and you're traveling and yada yada yada, right? So you really need to balance out, and then once you figure that out, it's still a juggling thing, but at least you have an idea of the direction you're going in, which is important. And the only way you can really sustain yourself in really any career, to be honest, but more so like this one, at least, with my experience, that's how I feel about it. Right. Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, in our industry, and again, similar to sports and being a professional athlete, it's almost that unique, and they say this in a lot of industries, but you really do have to pay your dues in the entertainment world and kind of sell your soul a bit in the beginning, or not just that, but like you take the job when the job comes, whether that's for trash TV opportunities or something you just aren't gung-ho about the subject matter in, but you get your foot in the door, and then as the years pass and the decades pass, I think is when you have a bit more power and control to be in charge of what you're putting out there. So yeah, I was able to increase my experience and skills and knowledge of the industry itself, but maybe not in a subject matter I was so proud to be a part of, so that 10, 15 years later, then I get to have more choice in the matter and pick and choose the projects you want to be a part of, the companies you want to be a part of. But unfortunately, I would say, at least in the time I was coming up in my 20s, there was that period where you got to pay your dues just to understand the industry and get some experience under your belt. But all that said, the world and the entertainment industry is a lot different than it used to be.
Yeah,
and the TikToks and the social media and the influencing and technology has changed all that. I'm not sure what it would be like to be in my 20s now in Hollywood. Because you can kind of create your own world for it, for better or for worse, for sure.
Yeah, for better or worse. That's a good question. I don't know. We work with a lot of young kids, and they're just so talented. They're so talented with the gear and the technology, and I think though it's the experience that they kind of lack and that they're kind of craving a little bit more, and what's going to help them out as they move forward. So while you can be talented and you can have cameras and lights, and I bought that for something that doesn't cost $10,000 anymore. It costs $1,000 to do. You can buy a computer, you can buy editing programs, right? And that's great, and I think that's wonderful. It really helps students and younger folks get into the industry. You still need to kind of work with teams. Like, again, this is really sports relevant. You have to work with teams. You have to work with veterans. You have to work with folks that have been there and done that to kind of learn how to use your technology like appropriately. And I see a lot of that, like with folks coming into our door, which is great. We mentor a lot of young folks as well. I'm assuming like just like you on like a soccer pitch, same thing. Does it sound similar? Like what's
actually, as you're talking, when you're talking about, you both said in your 20s you kind of have to take any job you get, and I also know from doing the media stuff that I do, I also at one point felt that same way. Is like anything I'll take for a very low amount. And now I look back and like, I would never do that ever again, because this is this is what I need to be paid for that, or otherwise I'm just not going to do it. But also, parallel to that, as my soccer career, I went to Mongolia at 22 because it was the only option at the moment. And in my head, I'm like, well, I could play a season, whatever that looks like in Mongolia. It is professional, and once I'm there, I'll figure out where I'm going to go next. But at least I'm taking something. I'm taking a job. Because this is the only opportunity currently available, and it is full-time professional, whatever you want to call that. But it's similar to here, where it's like, I enjoyed my time there because it was really different, but there was a lot of it where I'm like, this is insane. This is so unprofessional. We're changing just on the field. There's no locker room. The locker room is the turf field. And I mean, I can go on for days about stories about that, but there's basically 1% of it was professional, and that in Mongolia I could live full time on that money. Yeah. Everything else was unprofessional.
Well, I had the same experience. I was 24 at ESPN, and you're like, oh, that sounds really professional, and it should be at a level. No, it was like a freaking frat house. It was wild. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It looked professional. We made professional content. Right. But it was like I was in a bullpen, like a huge room with like 15 other folks my age, and like one person who was maybe 5 years older, and I was like supervising. It was crazy. It was wild, you know, and like that kind of vibe. Like, could I do that today? Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not. But you know, it shaped in how I do things and how I work and how I was able to work with folks. So I don't know. So again, I hear what you're saying. Like, take what you need to do, but at the same time, it's wild, and it shapes who you are going to be like in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And also, let's just admit, like, our 20s felt a lot different. I don't know about anyone else, but you're an athlete, so you stay in shape. But there's certain things, like, I couldn't do those back-to-back long days anymore. You know, even just the lifestyle in LA. You turn 30 and you start to realize, like, this isn't reality in general. So yeah, your perspective on the world changes as years go by. But I think if you're in this business still in your 40s and 50s, like, you do get that you do in this industry have the power and the control to get some positive things out into the world. It's like, we have this unique opportunity in our roles just as producers to put out some positive content into the world, especially nowadays where there's so much negativity, and even just the news itself, because its reality is sad. So, you know, something like Up the Hearts was so enticing as a project because like just me, and I'm in the industry, I don't like to watch a lot of TV because it's murder, it's serial killers, and that's entertainment. That's not even the news, which is sad. So to be able to have the power and the control to put something out there for people to watch that may actually be uplifting in their day and something bright and positive, that's where I felt like my career has taken a turn. Like, I'm not just doing this for the paycheck and doing what the client says to put it out there. We're putting out something that we can be proud is having a positive impact on society.
Right.
If someone, takes the time to watch it, yeah.
And let's talk about that, because from my understanding, the Up the Hearts at this moment is a completely passion project on your end. You're not getting paid to create this.
Correct, yeah. Up the Hearts, yeah, we're not getting paid. We have minimal sponsorship that we use, that we get in from, that I sell, that is on TV. And it kind of just covers costs. Like I said, we do have some hard costs for this that I need to cover. But yeah, as of right now, but I looked at this project, again, I was in sports for almost 15 years, and now I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've never seen something like this happen in front of my eyes. So as someone that's in this industry, kind of like filming and documenting things and like being, I was like, wow, I better like film something like this team forming out of nothing from a dude in Portland, Maine. Yeah. I found that very interesting. And I was like, well, if no one's going to film this, I have to film this. And that's why I got into it. And I knew it was going to be a passion project. But I run a company. We have a lot of clients. We stay busy. So I knew I can kind of support that as we were doing this. And that's what we've been doing, at least the last couple of years now for this project.
But also to have the foresight, I mean, I don't know if it was a discussion between both of you, to start documenting the process early on, not knowing if it was going to turn into anything. Yeah. And now we're here, January 2026. Yeah. I mean, every episode you've put out on YouTube has got over 100,000 views. It seems like the channel itself has grown significantly. And, in preparation for this, I rewatched everything. Yeah. And it's really, really good. Because I have questions about how you create it, because there's every episode, it seems you're taking multiple pieces of a community, and the team is a very small part of the actual episode. Yeah. It's kind of everything around the team. Yeah. But I have questions. One, did you know that the club has really become a community club? It's at this point, having played for it, it really feels like that we are a community, or the Hearts as a whole is a community company, you could say, a brand that in addition has a soccer team, but that's like on the totem pole, that's pretty low, in my opinion. And I feel like you captured that from the beginning, but I don't think in the beginning that was it. That was always what was said, but it wasn't until I would say like in the summer where you really start to feel like, oh wait, this is, party at Fitzy. And then it becomes like a thing where people want to go to and hang out and watch the soccer team. Sure, there's a team, but there's a brand. People want to wear the merchandise because it's more of a brand than a team.
Yeah, I started well, let me move back here. Right after COVID, like 2020, 2021, that's when Gabe Hoffman Johnson started the idea. Got it moving, right? And so I've known Gabe for a little while, just known each other just socially and stuff like that. And so when it started gaining traction, I would say 2021, 2022, because they wanted to have a team in 2023, by the way, on the field, and that wasn't going to happen. But so it was like 2021, and I said, hey, Gabe, do you mind if I just start documenting this process? And he didn't know where it was going either. Like, he had a goal, what it became, and I didn't know where it was going, and he was like, yeah, sure. So we just started to get content, more interview based with Gabe and people around the community, with folks I knew too. Now, this community, Portland's funny. Like, I've lived other places. I've lived in Worcester, Massachusetts. I lived down in Connecticut. If something's this team, the community here is just incredible, right? And I don't feel that in other places that I've ever lived, right? So when this team came in, it was immediately embraced, even without a name. USL of Portland. That was the big thing. USL of Portland. No one even knew what that was. So I guess there's a soccer team coming. And it was immediately embraced. So as soon as that happened, as soon as they had this like mini brand before their big brand, and people were like buying scarves and shirts and hats and talking about it at the pubs and like while you're watching Premier League games, kind of talking to friends, I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing. And that's when I started interviewing more and more people. The people that you might have seen on the show, like John Morgan from the Roosevelt. He runs a youth premier team out in Gorham. A lot of the Deergo Union folks, right, before it was Deergo Union. Mm-hmm. And they were already talking about and hyping up and getting excited 3-4 years before you guys played one game. And at that point I was like, oh, we got something. Now we just have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Which was not easy because Gabe didn't know what direction was going in. I didn't know and I kept having to, when are you guys doing a brand release? When are you guys doing this? When are you guys doing that? So we just kept showing up wherever they had events. Right. And that's how we got a lot of the footage for those first 2 episodes. So it was a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of like, hopefully this works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That would have been a story by itself if it all kind of collapsed. I kept saying, well, if this doesn't happen, well, that's an interesting story.
Sure.
But
interesting single season.
Yeah, but I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of, I'm just happy that I was in the right spot at the right time and Gabe to say, sure, start capturing it. And I'm just happy that all happened the way it happened.
And I'll say to you, Sean, like, it's nice to hear from, say, a non-Mainer, outsider, if you will, that you recognize that as well. Because it's easy enough for us as proud Mainers putting on the show about a Maine team to be like, Maine's awesome, and this is happening because it's Maine. But to hear from an outsider, like, that does reinforce that idea that this is unique and special. And I think we've heard enough from even like Naples when you went down there that it's not quite the same as it is here in this inaugural year of a team to have that much support behind it. And I would argue the opposite of your question, that I give Kurt the full credit. I joined him when he was saying, hey, in case you hadn't heard, there's this soccer team coming to Maine. Oh, FYI to me, and I've been filming things for a couple of years. Who wants to be on board? It was one of my first meetings with them as a team when I joined the company a couple of years ago. And it was, ironically, I had literally been like chanting for something with heart, like that verbiage, to come in and revitalize my own career. And so for him to say this Up the Hearts, or this show about the Hearts of Pine was coming, we hadn't named it yet. it was fateful to me that this project came along, but he was already, it was happening no matter what, because Kurt did have that vision. And again, back to your original question, I would say the fact that the first home game isn't until episode 5 of this 9-part series, we did know it was going to be about the community a lot, not as much about the team. And, you know, having watched Welcome to Wrexham and Sunderland Till I Die, and even Ted Lasso, right? Like, what makes Up the Hearts special and unique is that we did recognize from an early point that it wasn't going to be all about soccer and the team and the player profiles and that we needed to build up the community aspect just to have some episodes to air before there was soccer being played, before you guys were picked and had a team, before Coach even came on board. So those first 2 episodes alone are, to your point, logo, branding, how do we pick the name? Like, I can't believe the Steergo Union supporters group is already practicing their, you know, their music numbers. They don't even know who the coach is. The fact that, you know, the jersey reveal, like the shirt itself became a character because there was an entire event just for that, and it was sold out without anyone knowing what this team was going to be like, how great you guys were going to be. So I think season 1 of Up the Hearts especially, thank God it's such a community-based team, because we wouldn't have had a lot to say for the first half of the season.
At each episode, I was very specific. I want to have something different from the team. So maybe each episode starts with youth soccer, or starts with adults, you know, pickup league stuff, or, you know, like a Lewiston kind of angle or something like that. I want something different, so we can get, so it would show that not only there's a team and there's players, and I find that very interesting. Personally, I love soccer. I love watching all these series, but I really want to highlight the community as well, at least a little bit in each episode, and that's what I've tried to do. Through all these episodes, even as I'm finishing up episode 9 right now, has a little bit of that in there as well. So,
And I think that's where we make a good team as producers too, is Kurt's a youth soccer coach himself and played soccer and has Euro soccer on at any point in time, even here in the studio when we're editing and doing other things. Like, he's the soccer fanatic of this, you know, this team. And so it's good that I have that voice of like, okay, but let's do a little side story about something sweet and cute. And so, you know, we're still producing a TV series at the end of the day, and you need viewership. And the more you can widen your audience base, it's pretty obvious why that's a good thing. So, yeah, this is soccer content. We want this to really ride on the coattails of the World Cup coming to the US next year and get those soccer fans on board. But I'm also coming at this as, you know, I'm an award-winning documentary storyteller. So there needs to be those side stories like this to bring in the people who aren't necessarily diehard soccer fans, but are into storytelling and a docu-stories about, maybe they're just interested in what life in Maine is like, and that's what gets them in the door. And so we've really broadened the opportunities for new viewers by having this show be more about the community. Well, no, I would say that. Having this be a blend of about soccer, but also about it making such a positive impact on its community here in Maine.
And I think going back to what we were talking about earlier is everything you've done up in the industry up until this point has given you the skill set to be able to produce something like this and have the foresight to, oh no, we should make it like this because down the road, first for the community aspect, the players in this league come and go every season. And you'll continue to see that with the Hearts, whatever they're playing in the championship or Division I one day, there's a lot of change. Usually half the roster is gone. So you can't really make a documentary about players because they're gone. And they're going to come and go and they're going to continue. But the community around the club, most people are going to stay in Maine and continue to support the club. So if you make it about them and see their growth, like one of, I think it was the most recent one with like the oyster, she sells oysters in a food truck. I mean, it's very...
Daughter of a friend of mine.
It's so random, but it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's very Maine also. And then let's see, who knows in 4 years, what does that look like? You know, is she still around? Is she still doing this? Has she grown? Is she still working at the stadium? Is there a new stadium? It's like little things like this are, you would never think as a viewer, you're just like, okay, I'm watching this docuseries about this soccer team. But then actually only 5 minutes of the, 25 minutes is about soccer. Everything is about everything else. And I think that's really unique, and it really works with the USL because the players are going to continuously come and go. Even coaches are going to come and go. But the fans and the community itself are actually the only consistent part of clubs at this level.
I mean, the fact that, you know, one of the co-chairs of Dirigo Union is now recognized on the streets because he's been in our show so much. The fact that he became a character because they are so much a part of the culture of the Hearts is telling, you know, as an example. When we're at the games, again, as a producer, we're there to get the soccer content, get man on the street kind of bites and stuff, but I'm constantly just looking around at like, what other storylines could pop out of who's here or the vendors that are here. And Lady Shuckers is a good example of that. Like, let's bring in one of our vendors and tell the side story of how they ended up at Fitzpatrick as part of this family, right? Yeah.
And then like the internal team too, like front office. You know, the merch team, which my son works for, by the way. So, but like the merch team, which is awesome, or like the folks that are like doing all the hard work, like Hannah and all those folks working in front office stuff. Like that's an interesting story to me. Like, I think this first season was awesome because we were able to explore all these new things. Like if we do a season 2 or move forward or something like that, that changes our thinking going forward. And that's something that we're still kind of workshopping, to be honest. But like, this was so new. It's like, who are these people? What are they doing? What's going on? Why? Those are all questions that we were able to answer over 8 to 9 episodes. Which for us as like producers and directors is awesome. It's like a gift. It's like, we had so many things we could have talked about. There were so many different vendors we could have talked about, or players, or community aspects. Like, we didn't even talk about some of the biggest community things. We didn't even get into Kennedy Park and what they do with the Hearts and stuff like that. So there are like these huge things that we haven't even touched at that we might touch in later episodes as well. But like, it just wasn't really working as I was editing and putting things together. Everything started just dropping into place, and I just kind of ran with it. And that's kind of how the series kind of was built throughout the season. And also like putting a TV series together of something happening while it's happening is totally different than you usually do these things. Like, I'm like, so you've seen like All or Nothing series, right? On Prime. Yep. So like Tottenham or Man City or Arsenal, something like that. They shot all season, or at least they have months before they put something out. We're filming, and I'm trying to put it together a month or 2 later so we can keep things kind of going. And usually you film the whole season, then you edit it the next year, and then you have a premiere. Like, we didn't do that. Yeah. Like, we were filming, I was editing as we were filming the next shows. And that's incredibly tough because you don't know where the show is going. Yeah, I didn't know the Hearts were going to get in the playoffs. Yeah. I didn't know you guys were going to go to Spokane. You could have gone to I had no idea. We were just kind of like, all right, we're going to film and then kind of figure out what that storyline is. And that's tough. That is not what you usually do. Yeah. Usually you film something, a series or a team or an event, and then put together the storyline, the narrative. We were just kind of, I don't want to say we were winging it, but I was like, what's next? What's happening here? How does this fit into this? How does, going down to Naples, or how going so far in the U.S. Open? Like, that was, okay, well, we're here. We're filming you guys up in Lewiston. You guys kept winning and winning and winning. I was like, well, I guess this is part of the show now. Yeah.
Put your layers back on. We're going back to Lewiston. We're going to
Lewiston again. Yeah, but seriously, like, it was difficult. So what was going to be probably a 5-part series is now a 9-part series. Yeah. Because you guys had all these extra things happening that I needed to kind of account for. Like, we saw Ollie Wright when he was filming your podcast. And he was like, oh, why didn't you put my hat trick in the show? I was like, I can't. The one thing I can't put everything in the show. But you know what I'm saying?
That's top of the list of what to put in the show, his hat trick.
But seriously, what a great moment. And but we weren't there as a team filming so I didn't have all what I needed to have it done. And so, like, I didn't know he was going to do a hat trick that day, whatever. So I think that is the tough part about this. I think there were huge moments that we didn't put into the show, and that's the way it is. So yeah.
Now, as documentarians, right? It was certainly a challenge. And again, I'm the organized spreadsheet. Let's line everything up. And back half of the season for sure, we would line up the outlines for the next 2 episodes coming up, and then would have to meet again to switch segments around because now this is going to be more vital in this one, or this now doesn't blend into that because they lost or won or whatever it was. So it was a new challenge, but I think it kept us on our toes. And
Totally. Yeah.
one of the behind the scenes in our industry, one of the biggest challenges of a project like this, but even just editing and post-production in general, is being able to edit yourself and allow things to end up on the editing room floor, as they say, right? So yeah, there were some beautiful storylines or some wonderful things that happened with you guys throughout the season, and we just had to be okay with like, it's just not gonna make it in.
Right.
And still know that like it's going to be a really powerful episode even without that. You know, the friendly game with the Canadians, I thought that was a lovely storyline. We didn't have anyone to film at the game that day. We just had to let it go. Yeah. Do you know,
we captured Pat, who is the social media manager for the Hearts, because I didn't know what was it. We had an opportunity. That was it, and that was my focus.
You know, we wanted to get in when you guys were visiting the Children's Hospital. There were just some not red flags, but some walls put up as far as filming there. So we didn't want to fight it or push it or, God forbid, you know, ruin your relationship with the setup at the hospital. So we had to let that go and like tell the meaning behind that in a different way. Like, the Hearts are doing impactful things. We're not going to be there for every single one of them, but here's another cool thing they've done. So it's knowing how to edit ourselves or knowing when it's okay to let something go, because guess what? Something else is happening next week we have to capture.
We didn't capture any of the Jägermeister Cup. Just didn't. There was no space for it in the show. Now, if you guys made a run, I'd probably try to slip it in, but you didn't, so I made the right decision.
And I would say, in addition to that too, is thinking about season 2, that will be our biggest challenge. Is actually, we've done all the community stuff. We've done the building up. Again, 4 episodes of just coming up with the branding and the name and Fitzpatrick getting remodeled and all that. So season 2's challenge will be filling the content now that all those things are done and established and the team is here and everyone knows about them now. Like,
now what?
Now it's the news stories. And we want to do more player profiles, but you make a great point. Maybe we don't want people getting invested in that person. They may not be here next year, but maybe that's good too. We tug on the heartstrings, and then emotions, good or bad, are good in docu-storytelling. So, you know, even Kurt said, we love the Hearts, but if they lose, like, that could be a good story too. And then you get the like sad crying faces in the stand. So it's exciting, but also a challenge that this is evolving week to week, episode to episode.
Yep. I think too, I have 2 questions about that. First off, I think from my perspective, doing it, editing, so shooting, editing, and putting it out as you go, the huge positive is that you actually realize, okay, hold on, people are interested. So instead of doing something for a year, slicing it up, putting it out, and then, oh wait, no one's interested. Okay, but at least this, you know, oh wait, hold on, this is gaining traction. We definitely should keep going with this. Yeah. That at least gives you one motivation to keep doing it, because you know, okay, this is working and people are really interested. 2, I would imagine this is the first time you've done it like this. So also having done this for so long, it must be, sure, it's stressful, but it's also exciting to be like, okay, hold on, I've never done this before.
Yeah, oh, totally.
We have the skills to do this, but I've never done it as I'm filming and then editing, but I've already filmed stuff that I know I want for future episodes, but I would imagine as you're editing, you're like, oh wow, that actually would fit great here. Yep. But I have a time restriction, and
we had to move our Sean Vinberg segment down to a different episode because it's where it's going to fit in best, man. Like,
to your
that's
first.
Gotta be exciting having. Okay, you've done everything, it seems like, but hold on, this is a new thing. You actually haven't done this.
There's 2 ways I'm looking at it. The first point, I jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak, because I knew it was going to be very popular. We had the Hearts help me, Kevin Scholl, the president of the Hearts, helped me get this show on NESN, which is New England Sports Network, so where the Red Sox play and everything like that. So as soon as NESN was involved, I was just like, oh, and they were like, we would like episodes as your season's going on, so we can promote your games through our show. So it was like kind of like a mutual promoting there. So jumping on the bandwagon, I knew it was going to be big. So, but if I could step back and say, we're going to film everything and now start the editing process right now after you guys finish the season in November, I think it would have been a tighter show throughout the whole thing. That's just my opinion. I'd have more perspective looking back. I'd be able to add different things, take different things out, add different kind of interviews, get some more context for things. So while I love the show and I think we did a really good job, I think if we did it a year later and like really looked at things, and we're talking about potentially like re-editing things as well, I think there would have been a little more context towards it. So I love both. I just don't know which one I would choose. I think it was a lot of fun. It was really exciting to do throughout the year. It was stressful, but like a good stress that I really enjoyed doing and working with the team. But I don't know. Would it be good if we just filmed in, waited? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you on that one. Yeah.
My opinion would be just because it was this season one of a brand new thing about a brand new thing. I mean, we were hearing from staff of the Hearts on top of just fans of the Hearts alike being like, when's the next one coming out? Like, I can't wait to, whether it's like, I can't wait to see myself or, but like, I can't wait to see how you recap the last chapter of what's been going on. So I think it was a good way to do it purely because it was a premiere season of a premiere, a first season team. At least locally, it built up that excitement and people attributed the show as being along the same journey as the team. Like the show was evolving as the team was. I can't speak for the viewers outside of Maine who are just fans of the show or fans of the league, or the viewers we have kind of in the far-reaching places may have gotten just as much of it out as if we released one episode on Nesson this coming year. But I think it helped be a part of this movement and excitement that was year one of the Portland Hearts of Pine. Right. Yeah, it became a part of that journey and that evolution in general. I think a lot of people don't realize we don't work for the team. Yeah. I think that's interesting too, right?
I actually remember distinctly, I believe it was you. Were you at City Hall when we went there to meet the governor?
That was
Yeah. She was there with Thomas.
I remember, because I was talking with Josh because I'm into media and all that, and we were just discussing. And then I heard someone asked Gabe, like, "Oh, who were these guys?" I was like, "Oh, they're not with us." And I'm thinking in my head, like, "Wow, who's this film crew that's filming us?" But then I just heard Gabe say, "Oh, they're not with us." Like, what? Like, what?
That was his answer. That's great. Didn't say anything else. Okay.
Context, but obviously I hear in the back.
When you get off the bus, hey guys.
But I believe it's like, oh, they're not with us. They're a third party or whatever. But to me, in my head, I'm like, what is this club? Like, there seems to always be cameras everywhere. Yeah. Never been in a club like that. And now I'm picking up information that there's another film crew filming us, but they're not with the club itself. Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is
I think that was a point too before the season started. So we need to build, I've known Gabe for a couple years. I know Kevin now, but that's when Kevin kind of came on basically at the beginning of the season when you guys all got the team together. There needed to be some sort of trust. There was nothing yet. Of course. So we were filming, that was before the season started, before I think anything was on Nesson, maybe one episode or maybe not, I can't remember. Totally. So we haven't had really anything yet, or we were about to have an episode. That trust wasn't there yet. They knew who we were and what we can do. I knew what they were doing. But, once that trust was figured out, and it was soon thereafter, I'd say probably before your first home game, when you start playing up in Lewiston during the US Open Cup. Once that happened, everything was fine. Yeah. But until then, I think people were always like, again, I've been in sports for a long time. You've been in sports for a long time. You're always like, who's that guy? What are they doing? What's kind of going on?
Especially when they're still figuring out.
Or what's...
Hey, we own a soccer team. What do we do now?
Yeah, what do we do? Yeah, so I think everybody was figuring each other out. I think the Hearts were trying to figure out their organization. And so there was a lot of question marks. And I think there was a little like, these guys are just filming. We're not going to tell you too much about it because we don't know what they're doing either. And that's fair for like the team and Gabe and Kevin to say that at the time. I think now there's a different relationship. There's a different vibe, which I appreciate. I think we've both worked together throughout the year to make this a positive impact, not just for the team and the community, but for what we do. I think everybody won with this.
Right. Everyone wins in this situation.
No, I think it was a win-win. It could have been a lose-lose situation for sure. I think like if the team fell apart or something bad happened or something like that, but I think everybody had good intentions. Sure. Yeah. And I think that was the main thing. Once that was established, I think we were, for the rest of the season, everything was good. But yeah, if Gabe said that to you, well, that totally makes sense. Like I would probably say the same thing if I was in his.
Josh's first day on the job too was going to the State House. It was really cold that day. Yeah, I remember that day.
But I guess also
You think about it like you are not directly connected with them, and they don't know how you're going to portray the story because with a camera, you can portray anything in any way by only putting specific clips in together, and you could.
I think that was their concern. And I'd have that same concern too, because I was on their side. I used to work with a company that represented athletes. So my boss was a sports agent who represented pretty large athletes at the time. And so you looked at it from a different perspective. How are we being perceived here? What are we going to say? Totally understand that because I've been on that side. So I knew that was happening. So I was like, so my job was like not only like making the show. Our job was not only making the show good and that everybody would like, but also kind of massaging that kind of relationship, which worked out. I knew it was going to be fine, but there's that time that you have to just be like, everything's cool. Yeah. We're doing the right thing. We're not going to make you look bad. My intention wasn't to make you look bad. Now, if something terrible happened, I think we'd probably try to capture it for sure. Yeah. But what, do you guys lose a couple games? Like, what was bad? Yeah. Nothing, really.
I remember a turning point being when, because Coach understandably had his dukes up about us, understandably. But I think a good sports docuseries has to have that behind the scenes. That's what viewers, especially the soccer fan viewers, are going to want, are like the locker room shots or like, what's he saying in the huddle? And that we did not have access to early on. So if you watch the whole series, you'll note those locker room moments were only in the last few episodes. Once we had the trust and James Haleppo kind of shot when you guys were on the road and in the airports. We didn't get that in the first half of the season because, again, understandably, Kevin, Gabe, and Coach especially were very wary of where the cameras were going to be.
We were going to capture,
Yeah, so, but moving into season 2 is another exciting element. Now that we have the trust, like getting more of those Coach one-on-one conversations with you guys, with the players, getting more in the locker room, getting more at training, but a turning point for me, I remember, was going to the Dome for one of your winter training sessions. Because that was the first time we had really, it was just us and you guys as the team, and Coach Bobby didn't know us that well. And really trying to be flies on the wall in that very tight space in the Dome. Like I was like pressed up against the wall, like maybe he wouldn't notice them here. So it was dodgy for us because we want to film it right and like let you guys know you can trust us, but it wasn't my place to just walk up to you and introduce myself. Like we had to go through Kevin to get to James, to get to you, to make sure it was okay to even talk to you. And now that those challenges are out of the way, I'm excited to see what a season 2 could bring as far as our access to you guys and that behind the scenes life of a professional athlete that people are really curious to learn more about.
The series that I love, this is actually a question for you. Like, do players watch these kind of type of series? Like, I'm just curious. Like,
specific series?
No, this one in general. Like, I don't know. Like, would the Tottenham or Man City players watch the All for Nothing series, or would I just watched the Newcastle series that was on HBO, or I can't remember.
I'm just curious.
I'm going to speak on behalf of all athletes in general. Yes. Because you're always, I mean, at least I am, and I know other players are, you're always curious as what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are what is the club doing, but what is name a player? What is Leo Messi doing? What is he doing when he's not on the pitch? How is he doing treatment? How is he training in the gym? What is he eating? What do they do outside of that? You're just curious. So any of these small bits of access you can get.
Them eating.
Oh, no eating.
Gotta get them eating more.
Nobody likes filming them eat.
This is good to know. Yeah.
It's like to lose trust.
Follow you guys to the gym. Yeah.
But I think exactly, and like that kind of stuff is invaluable because I know for myself, it's like I'll watch an All or Nothing, and I'll see, let's talk City, or Spurs was a big one with Mourinho. One, how he speaks to the players. Two, stuff they're doing in the gym. And then I'll be like, oh, why were they doing that exercise? I'll look it up. I've never seen that before. Then I'll try it myself and be like, oh, actually, I understand why they would do that. Because they're the Premier League. They should be doing top of the line sports science. Everything they're doing is, at this moment, this is what is best for a footballer to do. So any little bit of the 30 seconds that they show in the gym, I'm going to see, okay, what were they doing there and why? And usually what they're doing is like a circuit training, and it's lower reps, but it depends on the day of the week it is. And then you kind of piece it together, like, okay, this is why they did this. Then you get some leaked information from like, I think maybe it was Valencia that came out of their macro schedule of what they're doing per week and the training load. And for me, I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, interesting.
Because
Let's
also,
call it a leak if we do it.
this information got out there, and it's interesting from a sports science background, but also as a player, I'm personally interested in this because I've always felt like, okay, no one cares about how my physical body is feeling more than I do, and no one also understands it as much as I do. If I put the time in to understand why is this tight or why does this hurt, and if I can figure it out myself instead of relying on the athletic trainer to give me an answer, quote unquote, then I could just sustain my career even longer and just feel better. So I've always took it on myself to be like, okay, what are they doing that? Why? Okay, Haaland got a hamstring injury, and they showed a clip of him getting treatment. Okay, why are they doing that? And at what point in this injury would that have been? Or like, okay, I sprained my ankle really bad. Let me look up what the top athletes, what's the best protocol? For me, I found out, okay, actually when you sprain your ankle, like you should really start to move it as much as you can, as soon as possible. And that was me, trial and error, having done it many times early in my career, right? But now, I don't know, it's been probably 5 years since I sprained my ankle. But early on, I had to tape my ankles basically every training, which is like, I was always to me is like, why does this keep happening? And how can I fix it? And then you just look, okay, what are the best players in the world doing? Of course, if you're worth 100 million, they're going to make sure you're playing. So what are they doing? Because at this level, we're not getting that treatment, but I can do that myself. So it's like this inside access is, I think, really fascinating, and I think a lot of people. Same as like training. What are these players doing at training? As professional soccer players, right? A lot of people have a perception of, okay, they train for 4 hours a day on the field, and it's super intense. Turns out, training is, relatively speaking, depending on the coach, it's actually really light. And it's not that intense for that long, and it's like an hour, hour and a half max. Some coaches go 2 hours, which is crazy. When I was in Fresno with Jermaine Jones, 2 hour trainings every day, 110-degree heat.
How'd that go for you?
Finished last. So, okay, there's a philosophy that's like an old German philosophy of training. Whereas I can say here with Bobby I even spoke to him about this, it's, in my opinion, it was light. It was everything had a purpose, but it was not, I never left training. Really, I never left training like I just need to lay down, I'm dead. Not once. And then I asked him about it, and he explained the reason, and it makes total sense. And like things like this, you have this perception of, okay, you're a professional athlete, you must be playing soccer 7 hours a day. No, actually, no.
You're just playing every day.
You're doing like an hour of activation, an hour of actually playing, and then another hour of gym work. So actually, soccer is a very small part of what you're doing. It's everything around this that makes your job. This is what your job is.
No, I love that as a whole angle.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, it's like, so like that is very interesting to us. I think another part that I find interesting that we didn't really dive into this season is like more of that back office stuff as well. Again, like how trades are being made or how they're scouting. And like, again, I know there's a lot of information that people don't want to get out there, but just knowing that these things are happening, I find interesting as well. And like, so what you're talking about there with the training and kind of like front office, like stuff and trades and whatever they're doing there, how they're running their team, that's really the next evolution to this series, kind of getting more, digging deep into those type of things where you see it in those kind of series that people are used to seeing, oh, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal. I know this team, but like, how do they work? And that's kind of what I'd really like to get more into. Couldn't do it this season because everybody was figuring out how to work. No one even knew what, so many people were green to the industry at the beginning here. No one knew, but by the end they were seasoned pros. And not just you all, like obviously players.
Ticketing, marketing.
But ticketing, marketing, the merch, everything. They're seasoned pros now, and they're really good at what they're doing. I really want to know how that kind of like ticks now a little bit more. Again, personally.
And the trust issue too, like they weren't about to let us roll cameras in some of their meetings, or coach didn't want us at training.
I wanted to be at training a lot more. I wanted to be in meetings with him and James talking about players.
And even at training, he had certain rules. Like once you guys put pennies on and started a scrimmage, we could not film scrimmages. So
and I was like, no one's going to see this for 6 months. But it didn't really matter, right? So, I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm going to work with the team if we do another season or if we kind of move forward on a couple things. What's the best way to move forward in those kind of spaces? Because I think there is an interest in it. I think viewers are interested. I think fans are interested in that kind of stuff, especially this community. Anything Hearts related, everybody's like, I'm in. So I think there'll be an interest in how they kind of work and how the sausage is kind of made, to be honest.
I think too. I mean, I'm still curious, and so like I just think soccer's growing, especially with the World Cup. Soccer's growing so much in the country. I'm so curious, and I'm always kind of poking and seeing what information I can get is how the operation actually works, because most clubs in this league are just leaking money. It's a terrible business plan, actually. I think the valuation comes in, you build something, and then eventually the valuation goes up, and then you could sell it one day. Sure. Could be just a really wealthy owner. It's a fun project. I think there's a little bit of all those.
I've seen all those so far. We've seen them all so far. Yes.
I think one of them was shown on one of the episodes. Yes.
We won't name names.
Very nice man.
So, but with that being said, I think enlightening people that are interested how actually a sports team works from like a numbers, and how do you get investors, and how does that then funnel down into getting players, and what is the budget to get players, and how do you manage that? I mean, these are things that I know from my side of things is like, okay, the club's never going to give you that access. No, I don't think.
I've ever tried.
And I don't think they should give you access. But it's like one of those things, it'd be great to know that information about this year, 5 years from now. Because it's like, okay, yes, you can capture it, but you can't release this until many years down the road, because things will obviously develop and change by then. But I would like to know a lot of things like that, because there's nothing out there. I mean, the episode I just did with Jake, the USL Insight, that information is not public. There's very little things you can find online about the league, which is, I don't think, beneficial for the league, because I think the more people you get involved in it, the more buzz you have about it as well. Two, as players, the more players you get interested in the league and the more information about it, I think you're going to attract better players. So for example, a foreigner that comes here, ideally in any league, you want the foreigners to be some of the best players. And the idea is you grow your domestic players. That's every country in the world does it, but the US is not doing that currently, which is something that I think needs to change. But you bring in, say, the level of your domestic players is here. You bring in foreigners here. The idea is that the domestic players get better. So if you want to grow the league, and from the outside, I know from my German friends, it looks amazing, because a lot of the teams in this league focus on like big social media presences and look at what the Hearts are doing. It's a whole media team. But you also have to tell them more about what is possible with this league. And I think putting out information is not a bad thing. I think any news is good news, because it is only 6 years old, the league. And I think there's, one, a lot of great things about it, but two, there's a lot of things that should improve from a player's perspective, but also by improving the basically livelihood of the player, you increase everything else.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think where you guys are right now, the USL one, just the USL family, whatever. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I played soccer in the 90s. There was none of this. There was the World Cup in '94, which was like the biggest deal in the world, and then MLS kind of started, and it was kind of a big deal, and that was it. There was nothing. There was no clubs, there was no divisions, and there was no multiple things. So I think where everything is right now is tremendous. I think there's a lot of room for, like, again, from an outsider looking at it, and someone who is really into the sport and kind of understands all those kind of dynamics. There's a lot of room for improvement, for sure, but it's still such a young organization, right? Just the fact that they were talking about pro rel in a few years is massive. I think having a Division I is massive. I think these are all huge things that need to happen in order to do things. Again, I coach on the youth side, so I see a lot of the youth problems that you're talking about as well, and kind of like that. But you know, we're finally figuring it out. I wish we had this back in the 90s, so we'd be 20 years far ahead than we are right now. Seriously, we should have. We should have had all this in the mid 90s after the World Cup. Didn't happen. We were promised it. It never happened. And so the fact that it's happening now is massive. And great for players. Like for folks like yourself, like folks in their 20s, like you have so many opportunities to play now. You did not have those opportunities after college. Just didn't. At least when I went to college. So I hear you on a lot of changes and a lot of stuff like that, but and things do need to change for sure. But my gosh, there was if you were there in the 90s, it was like, oh, this is it. Played high school and maybe you played D3 college, and then I was like, well, better get a job.
Yeah.
I'm done, or coaching or something like that. That was it. So, yeah, I'm pretty psyched. I'm hoping with these new teams coming into League One now too, that it expands that league specifically. But yeah, I only see really good positive things for sure. And things like the Hearts are doing, the folks like Boise is doing, and what's another, even Naples, like they had a really good presence down there, are just massive, you know. I'm hoping every team can kind of mimic that so they can get it. But it is, you're right, it's all perception. It's all what people see on social and stuff like that. Some of it, you know, a lot of it's fluff.
A lot of it is fluff. Yeah.
And as players, you know that because you hear from players around the league, oh, it looks great.
It looks great, but
how is it really? And then you find out, oh wait,
it's not.
It's, you know, don't go there.
Is that a bummer?
That's just part. I think that's just part of this business. It seems like that happens in many places.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, you can't be fooled by the facade that's put out by the club.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of clubs either just don't have the capacity to do things really well, or I played for clubs that, like, I don't think the owners have great intentions. Right. And it's like either a way for them to just have something fun, or they generally just don't care about the people. It's like, just, this is my project. And it's like you just come across those people and it's like, okay, I know the type of person you are, and then I'm going to use this club as a place for me to play, like kind of taking a job that, okay, it's a good opportunity for the resume,
Right.
but I understand who I'm playing for.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a good platform, and then I'll get out of here. And then players will continuously come to clubs like this because maybe they pay well or the club does well.
Yeah.
But then you always see players leaving because someone at the top is not a great person. And it's like, you can be this guy here, but then if he replaces you, now you're just, you know, trash on the floor.
Yeah, you know, I hear all that, and that's why I'm really into this team. I'm not only like enjoying documenting it, and I live in this city, but I'm I'm a fan too, because it really seems like, starting from the top down, that they had like a, can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
They had a no dickheads policy, basically, which I really, and I've heard that from other people. They had like a no asshole policy, which is huge, because once you start going down that path, the culture of the team changes. That then affects the community, which changes then, and yada, yada, yada. So it's really refreshing, because I've been in sports for so many years. I was very jaded with sports teams and agents and really high profile athletes. I just didn't really care about sports for a while, because I was like, this is just it's all BS. This project has been refreshing to see. And listen, they're a business, they're still trying to make money, right? They need to pay people and they need to keep that kind of going. But there's something different than most organizations, you know, big and small. And it's refreshing, at least from my perspective, you know, as a fan and someone that's documented this whole experience as well.
Sure.
I think in terms of the show, again, this is unique, and it's nice to hear from someone new to Portland too that this is unique. And we didn't have a crystal ball. Kurt didn't have a crystal ball when he started filming all this. So who were we to know like that they would beat all these social media following numbers, that Fitzy would be sold out for every home game? Like, we didn't know that was going to happen when we started making the show, and it just organically happened that this team, which I don't think there's any mistake that the principles lead with your heart. And like Kurt was just saying, they pick certain players, whether, they were the best of the best, but they knew they had the right thing here. They were coming in, and Bobby got it from the beginning at the press conference where we first mentioned him or met him. It was all about like, I'm here, to make sure that we stick to that principle of lead with your heart. And if the show Up the Hearts in any way can help spread the word that like, this is a team built on good, positive attributes, and that's reflective of its bigger community here in Maine. If other teams in the league and other leagues can catch on and catch wind of that, that's what may help make you a success, all the better for you guys, all the better for the league. I think the Hearts have done well financially. I don't know, obviously, the inner workings of that, but ticket sales, social media, their merchandise has been sold, shelves have been empty. They keep having to make new things and order more. And we can't even get discounted swag from his son anymore because the merchandise is just flying off the shelves. But that chicken and the egg scenario, I think it came from the Hearts being something anyone can believe in, whether or not you're winning or not. Before there was a team, these things were happening. And God, what an incredible message to send out to the world and to share with the world through our show, that leading with your heart leads to bigger things, and that karmically, or whatever you believe in, that's putting out results in positive things, like ticket sales, like being able to pay you guys more money, and therefore years from now being able to bring in the highest caliber and price won't be a problem. I think that all stems from this really core principle of leading with your heart. And I find such pride, again, in being part of a project that has anything to do with that. But for you, to have been a part of this team where that was the founding principle, and that it was stuck to through this very tumultuous roller coaster of a first year of seeing if we can sustain that, and it actually resulting in more success for the team compared to other teams in the league. There's something to be said for that. And I think anyone with any close connection to the Portland Hearts of Pine should be really proud that that's what all this is being based on, is leading with your heart. Yeah. I get all mushy and ethereal like that, but it's important to be proud of the work you're putting out. And I'm just making the story of the thing to be proud of. And so there's a lot of pride, and I think, again, in this day and age, it's a scary time in the world, and how amazing to realize that the good in the world can win. Do you know what I mean? Sure. And it can only be good for the minor league soccer world. It brings in more revenue. It brings in more positive spirit and fans. And, people from around the world have messaged us about the team hey, I didn't even know this was happening, but I caught wind of your show and watched a few episodes, and now I'm a Hearts fan, and Up the Hearts. Even if that doesn't have anything to do with our soccer club, to put out a motto right, Ricky? To put out a motto up the Hearts is just, we need more of this in the world. So thanks to Gabe for starting a vision and sticking with it. And I think he will into the future, because it has proven that it's gonna be beneficial for your heart and your wallet.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's also too, to wrap it up, I feel like so many clubs use a cheesy catchphrase. They try. So they use a phrase. But this is the only club that has used a phrase like lead with your heart and really stuck to the principles. And I think it's probably tough at first, I would imagine, when you're building it, because people are like, oh yeah, lead with your heart sounds nice. But you need to get momentum, enough momentum, to then it becomes actually, okay, no, this is a core value of what we do.
Yeah, it wasn't like a cheesy thing.
No,
it never was.
No.
Even before you guys had a team, I had the sweatshirt that says whatever, lead with your heart on it. And I was just like at the grocery store, and people were like, "Hey, I like that. I like what that means."
Right.
And they had no idea what the team was.
Right.
No clue. I was
Grown
like,
men with giant heart
yeah,
flags.
they're like, thanks. But like, I totally recognize that as well. But that's just, that's really good. That's really good branding. It's really good communication. It's really good marketing. Like, not even just Gabe. I don't know if you know Burke Cherry, who did a lot of the stuff on the back end. Like, they just had they're just really clear in their vision. And if you just flooded the market with just like nonsense with Lead With Your Hearts, yeah, it could have been cheesy really fast. But they didn't.
Right.
And I think that's where this club, like, that's why it's so sustainable and why people kind of like, that's why people kind of like it.
Yeah.
And kind of resonate with it. So, I've heard cheesy things from other folks, and like it doesn't really correlate with like their team or whatever, some taglines.
Right.
Yeah, they hit the mark with this one for sure. Yeah. And it's gonna resonate, and it still does. Like, we have our show. It's on merchandise, the Heart Bandit, all these kind of things. Everything kind of works together. There's nothing cheesy about it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we got a bunch of hearts,
Yeah.
And we've been asked too, and he was interviewed on another podcast where they were like, man, why haven't other teams do this? Or we think your show should be, an example of other teams making a docuseries about their culture, but you can't fabricate it. This was happening here, and we were just again, he had the crystal ball enough to know to start capturing it, and how lucky we were that it evolved into what it's been, because
we've had many, like, I've been to a couple away games with you guys, and every marketing team, because I have to meet them, or press team, they're like, oh man, I wish we did something like this. I was like, okay. I was like, just do it. And they're like, well, we can't. I was like, why not? Yeah. I said, what's holding you back? Well, just excuse. I was like, there's no excuses here. Just do it.
Yeah. There's many reasons.
Well, I know there's many.
One.
I know there's many.
John's going to list them all right now.
It's really hard to do.
I know. Well, I know. I don't say that.
Number one.
But yes,
Right.
it is very hard
Number
to do,
two.
for sure.
If you start capturing a lot of different things about the community, also, I think a lot of clubs would struggle to show that this is like a huge positive thing for the community. I don't think a lot of these clubs are like barely getting by, or not getting by, but still putting out a team.
I agree.
And I think they might believe that it's not interesting footage. I think actually it is.
I think it's tremendous.
Because you can
Yeah.
show like a Tormenta, who they don't get any fans
Agreed.
ever.
Agreed.
Or like a Charlotte Independence, where they have a great stadium, but the MLS team absolutely killed them.
Yeah,
because they're now competing with the MLS team. But to me, what does that behind the scenes look like? Because
I think that's tremendous. I don't understand why they don't capture that.
Correct.
So I tell folks when they ask me, like, why can't we do it? I'm like, just start capturing stuff. Because at some point you will find a producer or a director or somebody who's there is like, oh, I got this stuff. I can turn it into something interesting.
Right.
I guarantee.
Right.
Like in Naples, the guy, when you had your first league game, I was down there. And the guys, they're so nice. They're like, we want to be doing something. I'm like, start capturing. They're like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, start capturing it now. This is your first season too. I don't know why you're not just filling in. Well, we don't have the just pick a camera up and start doing stuff. Yeah. Yes, you do need some skills in order to make a narrative and a story, but it's worth it.
Right.
Like, maybe you're not making a TV show, a 9-part TV show, but like, look what the Hearts are doing besides us. They're making these nice little films.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all them.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody can do
And
that.
because of the attention, again, chicken and the egg, but they are legitimately making an impact on these small communities they go into. Children in cancer hospitals, like, you guys made a difference in those individual lives. That adds up. So it can't just be something for the cameras, right? Like, again, thankfully, Gabe had this vision of this being a community-based team doing community-based work off the pitch. So you can't just make it up. On some level, the story has to be there too. They have to be doing something, but maybe for a team where no one's in the stands and they're not as inspired to play well, so they're not doing as well, that may give them the onus, like, maybe we need to go out and be more involved in the community, get more people to the stands, then we'll be more inclined to train more and play better. Like, it's this snowball effect, but it really is like the chicken and the egg, like, well, do we pretend these community things are happening here so we feel better and we get some more cool marketing material out there? Or do you start to do those things so that people want to capture what you're doing?
If other teams did it, I'd watch it. I'm interested as you're interested in that. Because that's the type of content I personally like. I don't watch Sorry, I don't watch Criminal Minds. I don't watch any of these.
Me neither.
I don't watch any like thrill. I don't care about that. I like documentary, docuseries. I love the Wrexham series. I love all those things because I get to see not only what we can do for our show, but what other clubs are doing as well. And I find that incredibly interesting. But anyway, that's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it seems like an obvious thing.
Yeah.
At a minimum, to just capture as much as possible. Sure, you would have a ridiculous database, but at some point you could filter through that and make something of it. But you need the footage. I always say to myself, like, I wish I've been recording everything I've done since the beginning, and just put it in the cloud or put it on a hard drive, and because now it'd be gold. Now that I actually have sort of a skill set that I can now put something together and maybe make a story, and I always think like, man, I should have started filming. Like you look at like a Kanye West documentary. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I haven't. No. But
That's another one. I mean, it's like he had okay, I'm gonna film everything. From the beginning, from like living with his mom and making music. And then 20 years down the road, he makes an incredible film about the whole thing. And it's like, you need to have the idea to, okay, I'm gonna record everything.
Absolutely.
And at this point, it's like, people have done it already, so it's not this new idea. And to get a camera or to everyone,
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
everyone's got a phone.
Yeah.
You don't doesn't have to necessarily be a camera.
Totally.
It's like anyone could do that now. The club at any capacity really could do that because you could hire some college student with an iPhone just to capture as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And it's
Go
better
through
than
everyone
nothing.
else's phones, what they've already done. It
doesn't matter.
Right.
You're right. The storage doesn't matter anymore. Everything's this
It's way more accessible. Like you guys were saying, all this stuff is so much more accessible than it was 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
This show is 36 terabytes plus right now.
Right.
Who cares?
I mean, we needed footage
cares?
of you guys on the road. We just said to James, "Hey, with your phone,
just
can
take
you
your phone. I don't care.
on the plane?"
Doesn't matter.
In case you saw him
These
at the
series,
airport doing this.
we have nice big cameras. We have small cameras. We have iPhones. Nobody cares.
There's no rules
Put it
anymore.
all
There used to
together.
be more rules as far as everything, all your cameras aligning and bit rates and all that. No, if it's a docu style, that gives you the freedom to piece it together however you need to.
It's just the narrative. It's a story you're telling.
Yeah.
And I think all players, clubs, anybody should be doing it. And because again, I'm interested and anybody can make something out of this. And then you can really tell your story the way you want to tell it. If not, someone else is going to tell it for you.
Yeah.
And we have the added bonus of excitement-wise for our content, with the World Cup coming. Like there's no elephant in the room that's helping us as far as selling season 1 or leading into season 2. We know there is a growing audience for soccer content, and the platforms and the networks and stuff know that too. So now's the time to make your soccer content, everybody.
No, it still is.
I mean, with the World Cup, soccer will exponentially grow for sure.
Yeah.
Because it did it in '94. I feel like it did in 2010, 2014 as well. At least for people around my age, I felt there was a huge increase in just interest in the sport from friends that I had absolutely no interest. And I know for sure it will happen with the World Cup being here because you just have kids, people that are not into the game at all actually get into it. And being ahead of the curve with this stuff is pretty exciting for you guys.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm happy to be a part of playing still and seeing that kind of from that perspective. But I think overall to be involved in soccer right now is a great thing.
And we appreciate you being involved in the series.
Seriously.
You were great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited to see it.
This isn't goodbye. We're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
follow
gonna be
you
good.
around.
Yeah, that's good.
Like the Sean Vinberg series next.
All right, guys. Well, Kurt, Sarah, thank you for joining. This was, it's a great conversation. We had no idea where this was going to go.
Yeah.
Putting it out there, yes. But I'm glad we did it. And yeah, exactly. This is not a goodbye. This is, let's see where the story goes. We got to edit it as it goes.
Yeah,
You'll see us.
Thanks, Sean.